How to quit ChatGPT addiction. No one wakes up intending to become dependent on a tool designed to help them think. It starts innocently. You ask a question to clarify an idea. Then another to speed things up. Then one more because it explains things so cleanly, so patiently, so instantly. Before long, the pause between thought and answer disappears. You stop sitting with confusion. You stop wrestling with ideas. You outsource the friction. That is how a useful assistant can slowly turn into a form of dependency. This article is not about demonizing technology. ChatGPT is powerful, generous, and genuinely helpful. The problem is not that it exists. The problem is what happens when it replaces cognitive effort, emotional tolerance, and intellectual uncertainty rather than supporting them. Quitting ChatGPT addiction does not mean quitting ChatGPT entirely. It means restoring a healthy distance between your mind and the machine. What follows is not a list of extreme rules, but a realistic framework for stepping back, grounded in real behavior, not digital guilt. Recognizing the pattern without shaming yourself. The first step is noticing the pattern without moralizing it. Addiction thrives on shame. The more you frame the habit as a personal failure, the more likely you are to seek relief through the same behavior. ChatGPT addiction often looks subtle. You open it before trying to think. You use it to rephrase messages you already know how to write. You ask it to decide for you. You feel a mild discomfort when it is unavailable. These are not dramatic symptoms, but they are meaningful signals. What is happening is not laziness. It is a shift in metacognition, your awareness of how you think. When answers are always immediate, your tolerance for uncertainty shrinks. You begin to mistake speed for clarity and fluency for understanding. The goal is not to eliminate help, but to rebuild the gap between question and response. That gap is where learning, creativity, and confidence are formed. Understand why it feels so hard to stop. To quit any habit, you must understand what it gives you. ChatGPT provides several powerful reinforcements at once: instant feedback, non-judgmental tone, endless availability, and cognitive relief. It never gets tired of you. It never interrupts. It never says, "Figure it out yourself." This creates a loop of reinforcement. You feel stuck, you ask a question, discomfort disappears. Over time, your brain learns that thinking alone is optional. Why struggle when relief is one click away? The danger is not reliance, it is replacement. When the tool starts doing the thinking instead of supporting it, your internal problem-solving muscles weaken. Not permanently, but noticeably. Quitting feels uncomfortable because you are reintroducing friction your brain has learned to avoid. That discomfort is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of recovery. Separate thinking from answer getting. One of the most effective ways to break the habit is to enforce a delay between thinking and asking. Not a dramatic delay, just enough to reawaken effort. Before opening ChatGPT, write down what you already know. Even if it feels incomplete or wrong. Especially if it feels wrong. That initial struggle activates your own reasoning. When you eventually consult the tool, it becomes a comparison rather than a substitute. This reduces the salience of instant answers. Instead of feeling like a lifeline, ChatGPT becomes a reference point. You regain ownership of the thought process. A real example: a student preparing an essay used to paste prompts directly into ChatGPT and adapt the output. After introducing a rule, outline first, ask later, his writing improved. Not because the AI was worse, but because his ideas had shape before assistance entered. The tool should come after effort, not before it. Rebuild attention through friction. ChatGPT addiction quietly erodes deep focus. The moment a task becomes mentally demanding, the reflex is to ask. This fragments concentration and weakens attentional stamina. To reverse this, you must reintroduce controlled friction. Set boundaries that slow access slightly. Log out between sessions. Use it only on desktop, not mobile. Restrict usage to specific time blocks. These barriers are not punishments. They are training wheels for focus. When access is not automatic, you are forced to sit with the problem a little longer. That sitting is where cognitive strength returns. Think of it like physical training. Muscles grow under resistance, not convenience. Attention works the same way. Replace, don't just remove. One reason people relapse into overuse is because they remove ChatGPT without replacing what it provided. Quitting without substitution leaves a vacuum. Ask yourself what you used it for most: reassurance, structure, clarity, speed, confidence. Then replace those functions with human or analog alternatives. Use notebooks for thinking. Books for explanation. Conversations for clarity. Silence for processing. This prevents cognitive displacement, where one tool crowds out others. Healthy thinking ecosystems are diverse. No single source should dominate. A professional writer once described quitting ChatGPT for first drafts. The replacement was freewriting badly for 10 minutes. The output was worse, but the ideas were hers. Editing later became easier because ownership had returned. Learn to tolerate imperfect output. ChatGPT often produces polished responses. When you rely on it too heavily, your own work can feel embarrassingly rough by comparison. This creates avoidance. You must relearn tolerance for imperfection. Drafts are supposed to be clumsy. Ideas are supposed to wobble before they stand. That messiness is not inefficiency, it is thinking in motion. This is where autonomy grows. When you allow yourself to produce something unfinished, you reclaim agency over the process. You stop waiting for permission to proceed. Ironically, those who quit overusing AI often become better editors. They learn to shape raw material rather than import finished products. Regulate the emotional pull. Overuse is rarely just cognitive. It is emotional. ChatGPT offers calm certainty when you feel anxious or overwhelmed. Quitting means learning emotional regulation without digital soothing. When you feel the urge to ask immediately, pause and identify the emotion beneath it. Is it confusion? Fear of being wrong? Pressure to be fast? Address that emotion directly. Take a breath. Move your body. Change environments. Let the feeling crest and pass. This practice builds resilience. You discover that discomfort is survivable. More than that, it is instructive. Redefine productivity and success. Many people justify overuse by calling it efficiency. But speed is not the same as understanding. Productivity that bypasses learning is short-term gain with long-term cost. Redefine success as comprehension, not completion. Depth, not output. Retention, not polish. When you measure progress this way, reliance naturally decreases. You no longer need perfect answers, you need meaningful engagement. This shift supports sustainability. Your skills grow instead of atrophying. Your confidence becomes internal rather than outsourced. Quitting ChatGPT addiction is not about abstinence. It is about authorship. About deciding when help enhances your thinking and when it replaces it. The tool will keep improving. That is inevitable. The real question is whether your thinking improves alongside it. Step back gently. Reintroduce effort. Accept discomfort. Trust your unfinished thoughts. You do not need to be faster. You need to be present. That is how the habit loosens, and how thinking returns to where it belongs. Academic words. 1. Dependency definition, a state of reliance on something for normal functioning. Example, psychological dependency can develop without awareness. 2. Metacognition definition, awareness and understanding of one's own thinking processes. Example, metacognition helps learners adapt strategies. 3. Reinforcement definition, a process that strengthens behavior through reward. Example, immediate feedback acts as reinforcement. 4. Salience definition, the quality of being especially noticeable or prominent. Example, salience influences attention more than importance. 5. Attentional definition, related to how attention is directed and sustained. Example, attentional endurance improves with practice. 6. Displacement definition, replacement of one activity by another. Example, digital displacement reduces reading time. 7. Autonomy definition, the ability to act independently according to one's values. Example, autonomy increases intrinsic motivation. 8. Regulation definition, management of emotional or physiological states. Example, emotional regulation supports focus. 9. Sustainability definition, ability to maintain a process long-term. Example, sustainable habits prevent burnout.